Good morning, everyone. All right. So yesterday we have seen the feature of analytics, and then we understand that in Salesforce, as a part of analytics, as a part of this feature, there are two things: reports and dashboards. Now, when we talk about reports, there are four different types of reports: tabular, summary, joint, and matrix. There are four different types of report: tabular, summary report, joint report, and the matrix report. So let's start with the tabular report, right? So we are having a few of the use cases like configure a tabular report to represent all of the account records. So the first thing would be I'll go to reports tab, and from this user interface, I would be creating a new report. All right. So I would be creating a new report. And what is the use case? The use case is to create a tabular report on a particular selected data of account object, right? So from this all data types, from this all of the record types, report types, I would be selecting account. As you can see here, accounts and contacts, opportunities, campaigns. And if you wanted to create, for example, a report on your custom objects, so you have to go with this other reports, right? When you expand this other reports, you're going to see the names of the custom objects, like the hiring managers, like the books and whatever, right? The authors and everybody. Now, why don't I see the name of position and the candidate? The reason is hiring manager along with position and position along with the candidates. They are in the master detailed relationship. And we have studied one thing, that all of the activities, whatever you wanted to perform in case of a master detail relationship, that is being performed onto the hiring managers, right? So see the reason which I can see the hiring managers along with the position, but not position individually. So this is what is like, right? So if you wanted to create the reports on your custom objects, you have to go with other reports folder. And for the standard, you can find it over here. Now, I wanted to create the reports on accounts. So I'm expanding this folder, which name is accounts and contacts. Okay. I would be expanding this. When I expand, we can see the options like accounts, then contacts and accounts, accounts with the partners, accounts with the accounts teams and role, assets, account history, and the contact histories, and all these. These all are the standard objects of the Salesforce, right? I wanted to select accounts from here. So I make a selection and then click onto the create button, which is in the bottom right, sorry. Now, see this user interface. Let me first of all try to summarize you like what this interface looks like to be. Here, what you see onto the left side, right? These are the fields of the object which you have selected. Now, because you selected account, you are going to see the fields of accounts over here, right? All of the fields, we can see the fields of all these fields, all of these fields like account, annual revenue, site type, rating, and everything. What you see over here, this actually is the fields of those objects that you have make a selection. So because we selected account, you are going to see the list of all of the fields of the accounts over here, right? That was the first block. Now, second over here is something called as the filter section. And we are going to study there are three different types of filters: row limit filter, field filter, row limit filter, and cross filters. So there are three different types of filters: field filter, row limit filter, and cross field filters. So we will be going to understand how to apply individually every type of filter, what is the impact of applying a filter on a particularly on a report. So that was the second section. Now third, what you see over here in the bottom most, that actually is your report. That actually is your report. I mean, this section, if I highlight this one only, this is something called as your report. Up to over here, this is your report. This is your report. So what does a report looks like to be? It is a kind of tabular information. It's a kind of tabular information. Now see what kind of report you are creating. You can select it from here: tabular, summary, matrix, and joint. By default, whenever you come to this interface, the default type of every report is tabular. Now, if I wanted to convert this into summary, I could select it from here. If I wanted this, if I wanted to make a matrix report, I'll go with this. I'll go with this, right? So these are the different types of report. Right now, because we are only concentrating on tabular, so we'll keep this option as it is, and we're not going to make any changes over here. So now this report, is having all those columns like account owner, account name, type, rating, and all that. So can we customize? Can I remove some columns from here? Can I bring some another columns from here? Yes, of course we can do that. Now let's say, for example, I don't want to have this account owner into my report. I don't want to have this. What I can do, there are two possibilities. First, I can click over here, which will, which will eventually pop up one drop down. And from all these options, sort ascending, sort descendings, and all that, I could simply go with the last option, which is actually a remove column. Now, when you click onto this, that particular column has been removed. All right. That was the first way. The second way, for example, I just don't want to have this last activity. One way is to do it like this, right? One way is to do it like this. Another way is like, which is pretty simple. Just drag it from the mouse and drop it over here. So I drag and drop. So that would also work. All right. So now my report is just having 3 columns: account name, rating, and then type. I want to bring few more columns over here. For example, out of all these columns, let me try to bring the industry. So when you wanted some columns to get added, again, there are two possible ways to do this, right? One is like, you can just drag it and drop it. All right. The second, for example, if I want to add ownership as well, second is to make a double click. When you make a double click over here, it is going to be added. All right. Now, what is the difference between these two ways? See, when you actually drag it, for example, if I drag, I could place it over here. I could place it over here, here. You have this option. You can place it wherever you want it. If this is what. And when you make a double click, it would automatically going to be added in the last. I mean, it's the column. This field is going to be appended at the last. Now, if you, for example, you don't wanted this fax to be present over here, you have to make this type of manual adjustments. So this is not a very big thing. I mean, it just, it just depends on, I mean, what you want. I mean, how you wanted to see your reports and how you wanted to bring those, right? So let's say I have added all these columns, like, let me add the, like, I'll do one thing, type, I bring rating over here. I bring industry. I also bring ownership, and I bring the active status. Let me bring it just over here. And the customer priority also, I'll bring it over here. Now then phone, fax, and website, I'll just keep it at the last. Now see, it is showing me only 5 records. If I run this report, there's a button for this. I could see only 5 records. But does it means I'm having only 5 records in account? Actually not. If I go with all accounts, you can see there are 25 records, right? There are 25 records. So why my report is just picking up only 5 records? So let's go back and customize this. There's a button over here. You can see customize. Just click onto that button. You'll come back to the same interface once again. And over here, why this report is just containing only 5 records, why it's displaying us only 5 records, because if you can see, some default formula has been applied over here, right over here. So I'll have to make those adjustments. First of all, in the show, you can see my accounts. No, I wanted to see all accounts. So not just my team. No, I wanted to see all accounts. So I go with all. All right. I go with all. And then in the created date, I wanted to see all time. I mean, initially it was something else. So I just cleared that, all accounts of all time accounts. In short, I wanted to see all accounts of all time accounts. Then it's going to show you everything, right? So now if I run this report, now, so you can see 25 records. You can see 25 records. All right. So that is what actually it means by a tabular report. That is what it does means by a tabular report. So what is a tabular report ultimately? Tabular report is a table. I mean, it's a representation of data first of all, but in a form of table, right? It have rows, it have columns. What is the column? The columns heads, they are the fields of that particular object, like name, the active status. And what are the rows? The rows propagate to the actual record of that particular object. So this is what does it means. This is what it is. It looks like a tabular report looks like to be like this. Now let me show you a few more activities. Once you have created a report, let me try to show you a few more activities what we can do. The first, save it. All right, the first, save it. I have created, but I haven't saved it yet. So the first thing is to save it. So save as. Give the name. So I'm giving the name as, for example, tabular report use case number 1. And if you wanted to copy, I'll copy the same thing into the description as well. Now, where do you want it to store this? I told you yesterday that every report must always be present inside a folder. That's very essential. All right, that's very essential. All right, so every report must be present inside a folder. Now, because see, these all are the folders where I could store this. But yesterday, I also have shown you like how we can create a custom folder over here. So what we did is like we created a custom folder with the name HR management report. So I'll selecting this folder, and every report what we are going to create from this onward, we would be going to store this inside this folder. So I've selected HR management reports, the folder which we have created in the yesterday's session, right? That's a custom folder, by the way. And I'll be storing this. I'll be storing this inside the folder. Now, as you can see, I mean, these all are the folders where this is your folder, right? And you can see if you click onto this folder, this is the report. That was first thing to save your report. All right, that was first thing to save your report. Now, there are a few more activities what I could perform. Let me start with the scheduling of report. Right, scheduling. See, when you go to this run report button, when you go to this, why there's a run report button, let me also show you that. See, right now there are 25 records over here, 25 records. And for example, I mean, you created this report, you run this report, and now it is displaying that there are 25 records. And meanwhile, somebody, or maybe you have created a record. You have created a record over here inside the account. All right, you created a record. For example, I created a record like Sunil. All right, and then with few of the data, I'll just save it. All right. So I created one more record. Now, if I go to all accounts, I could see there are 26 records. There are 26 records. My report is still showing me old data, 25. So how to refresh that? One way is to go and refresh this. Refresh the whole window. But there's another button called, if you run this report, it would get refreshed and it would take fresh data count from that particular object. So now it is showing you that there are 26 records. That is what is the purpose of run report button. But there's a small pick list menu also over here. You cannot ignore that. What is this? Run the report now. That would bring the same appearance. You click, or maybe you click onto the button face, or you click onto this link. This operation would be same. But there is a small link, schedule future run. This is very important to understand. And usually people don't teach this. Usually people don't teach you this. You probably would not find this anywhere else. So what is the scheduled run of a report? Let me first of all click this. Now, as soon as I make a click over here, it would bring you to this interface. All right. And guys, there would be one more time when you are going to see a similar kind of interface. Just remember this. Just remember this. And see, something has been written over. Exact start time will depend on job queue activity. Now, what is this job queue? You are going to learn in the development when we start. I mean, after this admin would be over, I'm going to start the second module. That would be the development. All right. Now, inside the development, we are going to learn one topic called as asynchronous programming. Asynchronous programming. Now, during that course of asynchronous programming, you're going to learn batch programming, schedulable programming, future method, and queuable interfaces. Queuable interfaces. So that time we are going to discuss something, and I would show you this example once again. You see, there was a time when we learned how to schedule a report. So we created a tabular report and then we go to schedule that report. When we come to this interface, we have seen this kind of interface where there was one sentence was written exact start time. I mean, you try to start it on this date, this particular date, and whatever the start time, find the options. These are the start time, whatever the time you select. But exactly when it is going to be started, that depends on job queue activity. So we would going to learn this, a similar kind of thing we are going to learn in the development also. So अभी इसको याद रखेंगे थोड़ा सा, है ना? And then whatever discussion we have with this, I'm going to revise the same discussion but for a different context. हम देखेंगे. चलिए, अभी what does it means by a schedule run of a report? Now, see, for example, you're having a need, where you, for example, if this is a report, what you have just have constructed, I mean, if this is a report you just have created, like, and now this report, you wanted it to be run automatically, like every Friday or every Saturday or whatever the day you wanted. So if you wanted this, if you wanted this report should run automatically, and the data should be mailed to somebody. For example, I wanted the report should run automatically on every Friday or Saturday, and I wanted this data should be mailed to somebody like my manager, somebody like a team lead, somebody, the sales manager, project manager, whatever. So how can we do that? So it actually doesn't require you to, create any automation. It doesn't requires, like, it doesn't requires you to go with process builder or maybe the flows. Actually, the report itself is capable. The analytics itself is capable. That report can be scheduled for future run. Moreover, you can mail them. So like, for example, whenever you schedule a report, so first of all, it would take the user who's running this report and then email the report to me or others if you want it. See, whenever this scheduled run of report would happen, you would always get an email. Now, who are you? Who are you? You are this user. Who are you? You are this user. All right. And if you wanted to see like on which email ID I'm going to get it, you have to like go to, let's go to the setup menu and then go to the manage users and then users. Who is training batch user? This is the user. What is the email ID? This is the email ID. So on this particular email ID, this user is going to get the email. This would happen every time. And apart from you, for example, if you just go with this option, you would be the only person. You would be the only person, who's going to get an email. Or maybe this user would be the only person who's going to get this email. Now, if you wanted, apart from that user, multiple users should also get this. You'll have to go with the second option. Now you can select the users from a public group. What is a public group? Would be a part of security. We're going to learn that after this. You can select the users from the user object. I mean, I could select these users. I can add them. I could add them. Like I added security user. That apart from me, I also wanted this user should also get an email. So this is the way, this is the way you could add the managers over there. You could add the team leads. You could add those persons, those Salesforce users from this organization who you expect that they should receive an email whenever the scheduled run would happen. All right. So you can select them like this. You can select them like this. Now, that was one thing. I mean, whenever a report would run, an email is getting generated. All right. An email is getting generated. And this would going to be emailed to all those persons. Now, when you wanted, let's come to the scheduling part. Scheduling the frequency. Do you wanted this to be run daily? Daily, there are two options, weekdays and everyday. When you select weekdays, one second. So when you select weekday, actually weekday would exclude Saturday and Sundays. It would be counted from Monday to Friday. But if you select every day, all 7 days of the week are going to be get counted. If I select weekly, then what particular day? Let's say every Friday. If I select monthly, it would be like the first day, second day, 30th, 31st, or just the last day of every month when you want this to be get selected. Last day of every month, or maybe like first, second, Saturday, Sundays, whatever, it's up to you. So now, for example, I selected weekly on every Friday. The start would be like today. Why it's showing 5, today is 6, because it's taking your US time, not Indian Standard Time. And they should end like, 5th of February. Any preferable start time? Yes, let me select as 11 p.m. All right. Save the report modification with this schedule. All right. So if you commit any changes, do you want it to include that, or do you want it to discard? But I wanted to have a real-time report. So I would be selecting the default option, the first one, and now save the report schedule. So what just we did is like, we have scheduled a report. Now every Friday till this 1 month, from 5th of January to 5th of February, this report would be getting scheduled, and every Friday we are going to get one email. All right, we're going to verify that. So that was one more activity apart from saving. You should also know how to run. What does it means by run a report, and how to schedule a report for future runs. Now let me show you a few more activities. Now, for example, I wanted to print this. I wanted to export the data. There are two options for that. Printable view. When you click onto a printable view, one Excel file immediately get downloaded over here. And when you open this, it comes like this. Right? So this is what a printable view. This is what a printable view of report. Now you could simply print that. You could simply, if you want, you can simply print that. All right. So if I go with this option, so it's going to be get printed with my printer, which is connected. So I could print this. I could print it like this, or this from. I could assume that you could customize it, and if you wanted, you could, if you wanted to convert this to landscape, so that would also possible. You can customize and you can print it. That was the first thing. Now, second, there's one more option apart from table view. There's another option called as export details. Now, if I export it, so if I go for the export, it would show you two options. On which option you wanted? You wanted a CSV file, comma separated value, or you wanted an XLS. Now, what is a CSV? I'll tell you one thing. In the programmings, actually, we every time we use CSV. Whenever a data needs to be get imported or maybe exported, we use something called as a CSV file, comma separated value. So what would happen in this is like, whatever the data you exported, internally that is converted into a text form. So we would be going to mostly use CSV, but for this example, right now we could download it in the form of Excel. So .xls I have selected, and I'm just click on to export. So it would again download, one Excel file, which looks like to be this, and you can have a little customization over here. So let me format it up to a certain extent. Let me try to format it. Now see, this is the report. This is the report we have downloaded. So it would show you like all of the records, which you have selected in the reports, their status, and do you want it to them sorted out? Or this could also be done. This is Excel. I mean, I'm not going to teach you that. You could go and learn this online. If you know the Excel, that's a good thing. You don't know this, go and have hands-on on this, because this is the most commonly used software tool in the IT. I mean, this Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. I think these three tools everyone should know. Everyone should know, because that actually is these three tools. They are commonly embedded with your workings. You would always going to require to use Excel and Word, and sometime might be because you need to give certain presentations. You should also required to know about the PowerPoints. So these three, I suggest every time I suggest that you should have an understanding about Excel, PowerPoint, and MS Word, right? So this is what happens when you export a report. And then, yeah, one more thing I can show you. I mean, I can tell you would be like, see, with every report, whenever you download a report, certain copyright information also get downloaded with the report. Now, I was facing one, it's long back, like I think 2 years, 3 years before. What happened with one of my client. He told me that actually, it was a farm where they used to download thousands of reports, maybe every day or weekdays. I just forgot that. But one thing what I was sure is like, I'm sure is like, they download many reports, maybe in thousands they downloaded. They came up with us, they came up to us with a kind of a very strange issue, and they told us that, see, every time, whenever we download something, it come up with all those informations, the confidential information. So what they told us, like, although we remove it, like we remove it like this, we remove it like this, but that's a manual effort. It's a manual effort. And it's not just a matter of like one report, two report, five report, 10 report. It's a matter like we used to download thousands of reports. So obviously it's not possible that, we wanted to remove this copyright information, but that couldn't be done manually. So they came up to us and they were asking, is there any way that whenever we download any report from Salesforce, this information should not get appended at the last of the report? We just don't want it. So even I was not sure at that moment. I told to them, okay, please give us some time to do the necessary POC onto this. POC stands for proof of concept. Whenever you do any research in IT, see, if you don't know anything, understand one thing. If you don't know anything, for example, and somebody like your manager or somebody, your client, or maybe somebody else, he would ask you, okay, how to do this? And I mean, at that moment itself, you don't have the answer. Don't ever say, not just in the interviews also. Don't ever say that you don't know this. No, this is not acceptable. Don't say that I don't know this. This is the most inappropriate word in IT. If you really wanted to be in IT, you wanted to have a sustainable growth. And you just don't want it to become vanish. You just don't want it to become kick out. Never say this. Never ever. Just forgot to say I don't know. Ye word tum jante hi nahi ho. This is not in my dictionary. I don't know is not the answer. Even in the interviews, when they will start your mock interviews, they will train you like this. If you don't know something, just tell to them ki probably I'm not recollecting that right now. I have worked, but I'm just not recollecting how to tell you right now. Maybe I'll have to revise a little bit onto this and I'll come back to you. But never say that I don't know. Now, when you wanted to do any research on a particular thing, like when this problem occurs to me, when they ask me that, is there any way in Salesforce, okay, this information should not get downloaded every time we download a report? I don't said to them, I don't know. Rather, what I said to them, please give me some time to have a little POC onto this. So whenever you do any research, just tell them you are doing certain, you're coming up, you are doing a research, and then you would be come up with certain solution or certain proof of the concepts that you're having. So this is how you have to deal in your professional career. Whenever you wanted to fetch certain time, just tell to them that I'll require certain time to get back you onto this, and I'll have to do my POC onto this, right? Anyways, so that even I was not aware of that. So then I do a little research and came to know that yes, there is a way. There's a small setting in the Salesforce which with we could avoid this kind of what copyright information we get appended. So I go to setup and then build and customize in the activities, not in the activities. देखो अभी भी मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, बट यस, वन सेकेंड ना, जस्ट गिव मी कि मैंने कहाँ से लाया था. Reports and dashboards. Just expand this, and then you have something called as reports and dashboard settings, right? Go with this option. Now, over here, see, there's a section called confidential information disclaimer settings. All right. So, and these options exclude disclaimer from the formatted for reports, and then in the lightning and in the printable views for the classic only. You would require to click this for the classic, and for the lightning you'll have to click this, right? You can click both of them, you can click either of them, where I mean, depends from which environment you wanted to extract the report. So I found this option, I found this option, and now I clicked onto this and I save it. All right. Now, after saving this, and when we come back to a report, right? When we come back to a report, and then now if we export the details, see what is going to be happen. Export. So another file has been downloaded. Let me try to open this file. And this is the old one. And now with this latest report, as you can see, with this latest report, at the end of the report, there is nothing, just the data, but no copyright information, no disclaimers and all that. So that was one more thing. I mean, a small thing, although I am not sure ki whether आपको कभी भी इसकी जरूरत पड़ सकती या नहीं, but that was something I did, so I think तुमको भी पता होना चाहिए. All right. I'm not sure कि तुमको कभी इसकी जरूरत पड़ेगी या नहीं पड़ेगी. But yes, we can remove the copyright information from getting downloaded for every type of report. So that is definitely a setting. There is a small setting in the Salesforce. We'll just have to go with reports and dashboard, and then reports and dashboard settings. In the confidential section, you just have to include all of them. And this would enable to take the snapshots into the chatter section. I'll show you what this is. What does it means by a dashboard snapshot? I'll show you that. Don't worry. That is going to become in a topic. Don't worry. So that was a tabular report. That was a plain tabular report. Use case number 1. I have not taken any filters, so that we are going to start from this use case number 2, where you would be going to understand how to apply the filters and all that. But let's stop this up to this only. Let's stop by today, and just have everyone, you just have a practice on to this. Try to create a report, and whatever I taught you about run the report, about scheduling of report, about downloading, about removing that confidential informations and everything, whatever is appended, right? Just practice on to that only by today. And tomorrow, we're going to cover all other, what are the different types of filters and how to apply, and what is going to be the impact of every filter that we are going to see by tomorrow. That's all for today. Let me now give you this command. You can unmute yourself. Yes. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
Yeah.
सर मैंने वर्क फ्लो मतलब अप्रूवल प्रोसेस के लिए और किया था ये अकाउंट के लिए नहीं क्या
हम्म
अप्रूवल प्रोसेस, तो सेव क्यों नहीं हो रहा है?
देखो, मैं अंतर्यामी
मैंने
बाबा तो
मैसेज भी
हूं नहीं,
किया
सबसे
था
पहली
आपको।
बात। मतलब जिस तरह से तुम क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो, तो सबसे
मैंने
पहली बात
व्हाट्सएप
मैं ऐसे तो नहीं बता पाऊंगा। मतलब आप जिस तरह से पूछ रहे हो कि मैंने किया था वो तो सेव क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, तो मैं अंतर्यामी थोड़ी ना हूँ यार भाग्यश्री। आई नीड टू लुक इनटू द इशू व्हाट यू डिड एंड वेयर यू आर कमिटिंग द मिस्टेक। सो टेल मी व्हाट यू डिड, आई विल ट्राई टू रेप्लिकेट।
मैंने
बताओ।
व्हाट्सएप मैसेज किया था उशू।
इन माय पर्सनल?
नो सर, इन ग्रुप।
ऑलराइट, लेट मी ट्राई टू फेच इट आउट। सो ये जो प्रोसेस बिल्डर है इसको डिसेबल कर दो पहले। क्रिएट अ रिलेटेड कॉन्टैक्ट वाला जो प्रोसेस बिल्डर है ना, उसको डिसेबल कर दो आप। एट द टाइम ऑफ प्रोसेस बिल्डर आपने एक प्रोसेस बिल्डर बना रखा है। दिस यू फर्स्ट डिसेबल दिस, उसके बाद ट्राई करो आप। न्यू कॉन्टैक्ट क्रिएशन वाला जो है इसको आप डिसेबल करो, फिर ट्राई करो, बिकॉज यू आर क्रिएटिंग समथिंग मिस्टेक ओवर देयर ओनली।
ओके सर।
ट्राई टू क्रिएट अ रिकॉर्ड। Expectation. और दूसरी बात, आप लोग जब स्क्रीनशॉट लेते हो किसी चीज का, कैसे लेते हो? लाइक ये ऐसा लग रहा है कि शायद आपने मोबाइल से फोटो लेके डाली है।
हाँ, मैंने
ऐसा नहीं
मोबाइल
लिया
से।
करो।
ठीक है
एक
सर।
मिनट, एक मिनट, आई शो द वे।